Hello, beautiful humans. I'm Jen Madrone, and today we're going to be talking about the strange physical symptoms, medical conditions, aches and pains that can arise during the awakening process that can really leave us feeling really baffled. And in the recent thread, I've heard from a few of you of some of the things that you're going through, some of the symptoms that you're dealing with. And if I haven't heard from you yet and you're watching this video and you have some strange symptoms that came up once the awakening process began for you, then please just leave it in the comments. Let me know what kind of symptoms you guys are dealing with. And also just to get a feeling of how many people are actually dealing with this situation right now. Because when we begin the awakening process, we begin transforming on every level. Um, there's something that can happen that we don't usually hear about. You know, if there was a brochure on awakening, I mean, maybe the modern one would have it, but our ideas of awakening before we actually begin the process are often quite um, romanticized. And then when we begin to go through it, we realize that it's not quite as elegant and blissful as we were led to believe, that there's a lot of really strange and difficult things that occur and pop up as we go through this transformational process. And one of those things is the physical symptoms, the weird medical conditions, the weird things that you start to experience in your body, and it can be really worrisome. And sometimes it can be pain, aches and pains that develop in different parts of your body. Sometimes they move around the body, sometimes they stay in one place. And there's really no explanation for them. It's not something that you had before, it just started happening. Digestive symptoms is a really common one too, and that's what I went through for many, many, many years once the process began for me, and very intense digestive issues that can appear in all different ways. For each one of us, it's always different. Headaches are a big one. That's another one that I experienced. Ringing in the ears, pressure around the third eye and around the crown. The neck, tightness in the neck is a huge one for a lot of people because it's literally a bottleneck as the energy is moving up from the lower chakras. Because before awakening, we tend to have a lot more energy. We tend to be really based in the lower chakras. And once we have that awakening experience, and especially Kundalini experience, as it moves up our spine, it's starting to open up all of the chakras, including the upper chakras, and it can often get stuck here in the neck and throat area because this, is a much smaller area. Plus, it's common for us to have throat chakra issues that need to be cleared before that energy can move up and out through the crown of the head. So the neck and throat is a common one for people, and it can be anything. The physical symptoms can really be anything that's just strange and weird and popped up in this process that wasn't there before. And often the medical community doesn't. Sometimes they have an explanation for it, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they have no idea. And oftentimes the medicine that they prescribe doesn't really work, and it just hangs on. And the reason that these physical symptoms are common and this type of experience is common during the awakening process is partially because what I just described about the energy moving up through the body and clearing away all of the toxins and the stuck and blocked energy that's in the way of that energy moving up. And so as the energy rises through our body, when it meets a stuck or block placed, or a place where we're holding a lot of toxins, whether emotional, mental, or physical, when it meets that place, that's when the symptoms can arise, whether it's pressure, whether it's indigestion, whether it, whatever it is. It's really because the energy moving through us is trying to clear it out of our bodies. So what happens in the awakening process is that we are shifting to a higher vibration. And anything that is not at that vibration in our body, whether it's our thoughts, whether it's our words, sometimes whether it's the energy we hold in our body, if it's not at that vibration, then it needs to shift and move out, because this transformational process hits us on every level. We tend to look at it more as a spiritual, emotional transformation, but it's a complete and total transformation happening on every level, because there is no separation between each one of these layers of our beings. And we're when the physical transformation is happening, when the vibrations are these higher vibrational energy that is moving through us, as it moves through the physical body, it the physical body is a lot more dense, so there's a lot more resistance, and so that vibrational shift and that retuning and recalibration happens a little bit more smoothly on the energetic level than it does on the physical level, because of the density of our bodies. And so that is why it can take longer to make that vibrational shift in our body. And that's why we can have these intense symptoms, because of the density in our body. And so as the vibrations move through, it's really opening up, awakening our physical body, awakening our cells, and creating space in our body as it moves out the toxins. And so detoxifying is part of this process, detoxifying, like we said, mentally, emotionally, and also physically, is why some of these symptoms can come up, because we are detoxing on every level. So if you're having symptoms, it's really helpful to look at the energetic connection. Of course, getting getting a professional opinion, whether it's a naturopath or alternative doctor, or if you have a medical doctor that you like, getting a medical opinion can be important, just to make sure that there's nothing really big that you should be addressing, and also it'll help quiet your fears as well. But I've found to work with these confusing symptoms, that we really have to address it on an energetic, emotional level, because that's how these things were originally created. These blockages and stuck energy was originally created because of emotional and energetic issues. And so if we dive in to clearing those issues, so taking some simple examples like the digestive system, a lot of times that can indicate, that we're not digesting something in our lives. We have resistance to really accepting and digesting something in our lives. And this is totally understandable when, we've lived a life that we've been fed full of lies, and on a certain level of our being, we didn't want to accept that. We didn't want to digest what we were being handed. And so there was resistance there. When it's things like the ears, there's really simple questions to ask yourself, like, what is it that I'm not hearing? What is it that I don't want to hear? How have I been inundated in my life with things that I didn't want to hear? And so there's a lot of, there's endless ways to approach it and look at it. And we can go through all of the body systems or symptoms in one video. It would take a long time. But just shifting your perspective. One is understanding that you're going through a major transformation. You're retuning, your body is retuning and recalibrating to these higher level energies that it has received. And so understanding that you're in the process of transformation and using that energy to help you release some of the fear so it can just move through you. Drinking a lot of water, good high quality water, filtered or spring water, whatever the best water that you can get your hands on, is really important to help the movement happening. And I know for me, when I was really going through major transformational times, that I was so thirsty, I couldn't get enough water. And so drinking a lot of water is crucial. And then, really, the biggest way to help shift and change these symptoms is to dive in to emotional traumas, areas of emotional resistance, and emotional wounding that you haven't wanted to look at. And really moving into healing these parts of us that we've kind of tucked away and not wanted to look at, is really crucial to shifting the energy and healing these kinds of symptoms. And so, if you are at this point where maybe you know what the emotional issues are that you haven't addressed yet, and maybe you don't. Um, so either way, you know, finding a place to start. And if you're not really sure what those emotional issues are, but you know there's something there, then getting some help and assistance can be really crucial to help you unbury those issues. And even if you already know what they are, it can still be really helpful to get some guidance in help moving it, as well as energy work and other sorts of alternative healing work to really help shift and move the energy. And knowing that this is part of your transformational process, and peeling back these emotional wounding and traumas is a huge part of the process. And if you would like some guidance and you're not quite sure where to turn, then please private message me and we can chat and see if the work that I do with my clients would be a good fit for you. And if you have any questions, leave them here in the comments. And I'm just sending lots of love to you all and grateful to all of you who are listening. And I just want to say hi to Irene and Kali and Anna. Thank you so much for joining in. And I'll see you guys in the Facebook group. Have a great night. Bye.